there a lot of people are happy for what Biden has done because people say he hasn't really done anything good in a long ass time ever since he became president. So he has now signed an executive order to protect women's abortion rights. I know this is not this is more for the women, so I'm gonna give this to Justice and see what her opinion is about this.
Yeah, definitely very respectful for you. I think the first thing, like I gotta say, is like it's definitely a step. It's not enough, but it's definitely a proper step. It's mainly for protection that for women not to be criminalized if they travel to another state that allows abortions if they're living in a state that doesn't, so that they aren't criminalized for having an abortion. As again, as people know, I'm in Texas. We already have women who are in jail who or women who are under investigation for just having miscarriages, not even abortions, because they have what in medical books is labeled a spontaneous abortion. They are already serving jail time for that. So it's a heartbreaking situation. This is definitely a step in protecting other women, and that is good to see. But honestly, there needs to be impeachments in the Supreme Court. There needs to be investigations, as well as um, if you are in a state that your governors and your leaders don't support abortion or and have trigger bills and bills that they're trying to pass, and that that are currently being blocked by judges to try to prevent things like this from happening. Uh, you got to go out and vote. Make sure you register. Learn what your local elections are as well. Learn because cities can do stuff as well. Certain cities and towns are allowed to make their own rules and regulations on what they want to enforce and what they won't. And make sure you're voting for your proper lower district. Make sure you're voting for your judges. Make sure you're voting for if your state votes for judges. Make sure you're voting for your governors, your senates, and the people you want actually running your towns and cities, the ones that are on the ground. Make sure you're paying just as close enough attention to them as you are to those who are above. Um, I would label myself as pro-choice, and just to make sure we people understand this, right? Because I've heard a lot of things. Um, there's a lot of people who are pro-life who say, well, I believe a woman should have a right to choose, but I personally am pro-life. You're allowed to do that, but by definition, that's still pro-choice. And a lot of women don't realize that. Let's put it this way: a lot of people with the capacity of pregnancy don't realize that because at the end of the day, there's a lot of how do I put this? There's a lot of people out there who support a woman's right to choose what is best for her and a person's right to choose what's best for them when it comes to dealing with pregnancies and dealing with um, abortion. But them themselves, like I would also put myself into this category as me personally. There's very few circumstances where I would validate myself getting an abortion, but at the end of the day, I know I have no right to take that choice away from another person with the capacity for a pregnancy. Um, it People who think they have that right have put a lot of people in danger, have put a lot of people's rights at risk, and have put a lot of people outside of their rights, their life at risk, um, because they fully don't understand the medical terms for what an abortion is and why abortions are offered. It's a lot of times viewed as um, someone who just got knocked up at a party and doesn't want to keep the baby, versus the fact that there's 12-year-olds who are forced to carry out pregnancies um, that are products of incest and rape. There are uh, there are grown adults who have atopic pregnancies who will die while in labor because they can't perform an abortion to save their life. There will be people who have to give birth to their stillborns. And to make that matters worse from what's happening now, there are women who want to have children and people who have the capacity to get pregnant who want to have a baby, who are trying for a baby, and due to trial and error and miscarriages now have to defend themselves in police station to men to prove that they want their child, to prove that they actually want to start a family so that they don't go to jail for something their body did. Not that them themselves caused, but that their body did while this person is investigating them, looking to every part of their lives. Well, what did you eat? Did you take your dietary vitamins? It's, especially when people don't understand the impact this has on lower income communities. On if someone in a lower income community gets pregnant, not all of them have the resources to know that they're supposed to take prenatal vitamins or certain vitamins that they're supposed to take or certain things they're supposed to avoid when pregnant. Not everyone has those resources. Not everyone has access to an OBGYN. Not everyone has the money to afford to go to an OBGYN, to afford to have proper education on what to do when pregnant, and yet they will be blamed for the loss of the child that they want to have, because a man sitting behind a desk with a pen and fucking paper just said they didn't want it. Said, well, if they wanted it, they would have actually given birth. That the body, someone who doesn't have a fucking medical degree to know how those things work apparently has the right to decide. Someone who doesn't even have the capacity to get pregnant and to have a child having the right to say this. I don't care what your moral beliefs are. You think that person's going to hell? Well, that's between them and fucking God on whether or not they go to hell. And whatever God they believe, because we live in it's supposed to be separation of church and state. People talk about it all the time. It's supposed to be a separation of church and state. Your God has no right over my body if that God is not my God. There are many religions who support abortion. There's some religions that require abortion under certain circumstances. And yet we're so focused on praising this one religion within our government because it's so ingrained in our minds that that's the right one, that we completely ignore the risk of how many people are going to die because of this law. You're thinking you're saving babies' lives when you're fucking not. You're not saving anybody's life. If anything, you are killing more. What do you think happens to children when they go in the system? You can just adopt? No, kids going in the system go through the most abuse. Even when they're adopted, still go through abuse, still go through this trauma of not knowing who their birth parents are, of not knowing where their roots are, where they come from, because they identity from being in the system. You're not saving any child. And there's no guarantee that child's even going to pick your religion when they grow up. So if anything, under your belief system, you're not saving any child to go to hell. You're not saving any life. No life is being saved. You're killing more people than you're saving. And people don't fucking realize that because they want to follow some ideological idiot who thinks they know better, who thinks they're saving the children. We have children who are dying in fucking school shootings. We have children who are dying because they have no access to proper health care and doctors from certain diseases. We have mothers and fathers and people who want to have children dying on the hospital table because they can't afford it. And now, adding to the list, we have people who don't want children, who were raped, who were victims, killing themselves because they see no other way to survive. They have no more hope to survive in a world that doesn't respect them, that doesn't think they deserve the rights they are owed, that doesn't believe they have the rights to their body, that their only reason for being on this earth is to be bred and to fucking multiply. And I know I sound so pissed, because I am, and it infuriates me that people don't take the time to educate themselves scientifically, if we even cut religion out of it, scientifically, on why abortion is a medical process. And to even understand how it was secretive before. There's a reason Roe v. Wade became a case in the first place. And the precedent it's set for today's world. There's a reason for everything. And if people just took the time to sit down and open a goddamn computer and type a couple words and read the actual scientific journals. And even if they don't want to just reading news articles about what is happening to women and just people with uteruses now. What's happening to them now? You're not saving any population. Or you're not getting any type of financial gain. None of this is the right thing. At the end of the day, it is none of your fucking business if it doesn't involve you. Roe v. Wade was about the right to privacy. And people forget that all the time, that it wasn't just about abortion. It's about the right to fucking privacy. It's my business. So keep your fucking nose out of it. It is their business. So keep your nose out of it. Focus on your morals, on your family, and what you want as the values of your household. Because it's yours. That is your business. It is yours household. But once your child moves out, they have their own household. And everyone else outside of that is outside of the scope of what you have jurisdiction over, whether you believe it is your religion or you are guided by God to do. It is not your fucking choice. People have killed in the name of their gods, and we still tell them it's wrong. And this is the exact same thing. It's people killing in the name of a god, but because it's the Christian God, it's okay. Because it's the almighty, holy Bible scripture, it's okay. We're killing in the name of this God. It's okay. He killed before. He's a God of vengeance. That's not pro-life in my mind. That is just being a fucking radical. So just to sum it all up, if it doesn't involve you, stay out of it. You are allowed to have your own opinion. You are allowed to do what you want with your body, because that's the right you were given. You have no right to take that away from someone else. If you would have that birth, go for it. If you are willing to die on the table for a child that you will not get to raise, go for it. That is your right. But every other person doesn't have to make the same decision you have. And you don't even have to know the decision if you don't want to. Because that's something that they choose, they are okay living with. You don't have to fucking live with it. You don't have to raise that child or deal with the loss of a child or deal with the loss of a spouse because the spouse couldn't go through with a goddamn pregnancy. So stay the fuck out of it. Stay the fuck out of people's uteruses and mind your own business. That's all I have to say.
No, like I understand you. It is a very controversial topic to talk about, especially for women, because like they feel like their bodies is just not, it's just it feel like the government's just trying to take over their bodies and tell them what to do and everything like that, and it's not right at all. And like to get a female's perspective over a man's perspective, it's better to say it for them because one, they can get pregnant, they have period cramps, they go through all these pregnancy hormones and everything, and females, obviously a lot of females, like a lot of girls, females, women, they know what it's like to be pregnant and to go through all them stages and to have stuff like that taken away from them. It's going to be much more harder. So I'm glad that Biden did put into overturn the overturning of the law of that thing that they probably shouldn't haven't really overturned in the first place. Um,
Right
because
now, the bill is just a safeguard. It's still overturned. Hopefully that changes, um, and it's reevaluated. And honestly, it's about time we start adding more Supreme Court judges. The reason there was 9 is because there was 9 circuits. We now have 13, so there should be 13 Supreme Court judges, in my opinion. I believe that number is correct. I'll have to go fact check myself later on that. But it's time to expand the Supreme Court. There's no law that's limiting it to only 9. They can expand it, and I believe it's time. So, it's time to add term limits too, because these old geezers are really enjoying their life appointments with all their benefits.
I mean, they're gonna do what they want to do to stay at the top or to tell people what they do. I mean,
Honestly, it needs to start being an elected position. Like, I get presidential appointments, but at the end of the day, some appointments are just so convoluted that it needs to be elected judicial officials. At this point, Supreme Court judges needs to start being an elected position.
I understand, understandable, but yeah, like I just wanted to to for you to have this topic because it's like you know more about this topic than I do, and it's to for me basically it's you're talking about it from the heart of what you've seen from other females and other women, and you want them to basically give your point out and how you feel, which is a good thing. So that's another reason why I gave this topic to you.
I definitely appreciate the platform to speak about it. I usually try to hold back on conversations like that, but it's gotten to the point where it's just infuriating, and I could not hold back on that topic anymore.
No, I never really wanted you to hold back. I just wanted you to express how you actually feel about the whole thing.